What's up, military millionaires? I'm your host, David Perret, and today, look who's back. Alex is in the same country, and he's on the internet, and I love it. I haven't seen him in a little bit, so I've got my co-host, Alex Felice, and then today we are joined by James Lascara, who is a member of the War Room. He is a real estate investor in the Tampa Bay area, and you've probably seen a video or two before where he saved a young lady in the Military Millionaire Facebook group from certain foreclosure. In fact, she had an agent who basically told her to just accept foreclosure when she was like, why don't we reduce the property value by 50 grand? And they were like, nah, just take a foreclosure instead. And we got her pushed over to James, and they sold the house like 2 days later. And so he's a phenomenal real estate agent. He does, well, I'm not going to ruin it. He does all kinds of really cool real estate investments, and he's just a really stand-up dude. And we got done with the Tampa Mastermind event, and I was like, dude, you haven't been on the podcast yet. You got to come on the podcast, and here we are. So, James, thanks for joining us, bud.
Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate the intro. I'm humbled to be on the podcast. I think it's really important what you're doing and empowering military and vets to pursue financial freedom through real estate. I personally wish I had sought that out sooner in my career, but I'm blessed to be able to pursue it now. And I'm really honored to be a part of the community with all the resources that y'all provide. So thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Very happy to have you here. And it's good to meet you, James. I don't think we've ever spoken before.
Not till now. Thanks, Alex. It's awesome to chat with you as well.
That's actually why he's still in the War Room, Alex.
Me? To come talk to me? I don't blame him.
Oh, no, I meant he's still here because he hadn't had to interact with you yet.
Oh, yeah. It's twofold. They're like, I really want to hang out with that Alex guy. And then you meet me and you're like, yeah, I really don't want to hang out with that Alex guy.
Yeah, it works. It's a win-win. I have been super fortunate with my experience in the War Room, and I won't be leaving now that I met you. I continue to get a lot of value out of it and pour into it as well. So it's a very meaningful group for me.
Hey, James, you said that you had wished like a group or a resource like the Military Millionaire had existed when you were a young troop. I'm curious, did you go through the normal, the sort of plight of young soldiers that we hear talk about every single week and try to fight? Some 18-year-old kid that gets a Camaro on debt, spends all his money on liquor and ladies. Is that a theme that an experience that you have in common?
No, so I had the fortunate experience of having my parents kind of instill in the mindset of us as a family of living below your means, and so I never struggled with getting fancy things or any of that. But I was living with a paycheck, and I was investing part of that paycheck in the S&P 500, and not just kind of misguided. Put some money in your Roth IRA, put some money in your TSP 401k, and whatever you can with that delta between what you're making and what you're spending, just put it away somewhere. But the avenue of real estate with its tax advantages, which is growth strategies, value add strategies, and your ability to turn up the volume, especially with a team, I wish I knew that early on. But I didn't struggle with any kind of crazy debt or stupid spending. I did buy a dumb car and try to like fix it up a bunch, and that was just silly, wasted money. But I've always been somewhat responsible with finances. Real estate just cranked the volume up.
Yeah. So you had like the groundwork. You just didn't understand kind of like the Dave Ramsey approach, where it's like you've got the like don't make all the terrible mistakes, but not the like what's next piece figured out.
Right. I didn't know there were other levers that I could pull. And then I started learning those levers and said, man, I wish I'd been pulling these long ago.
Yeah, it's funny. I look back when I first joined, right? The TSP went into the G fund by default. And one of my biggest gripes, I joke, is that a literal like 2-minute conversation would have made the value of my TSP worth 2, maybe 3 times what it currently is. If somebody had just sat me down and been like, hey, dude, you're putting 10% in, you're doing all the right things with the way you're contributing, and this, that, and the other. You're in Roth. You're 10%. You're upping it every time you get promoted or a pay raise, but you're in the wrong fund, idiot. And from 2008 to 2015, when the market earned ridiculous returns, I earned bond returns. Like just garbage. And I've done the math before. I mean, I'm short. Well, when I did the math, it was like 2.6 times what it would have been had I just put it into 70 or 75% C, 25% S. And so it's like, man, it's like you can get all the things right, but if you're just like one little tweak, and it's kind of crazy how finances work sometimes like that.
Yeah, it can be a real travesty looking back. I think back to, so I got out of the academy and they give you, I think it was like a $30,000 loan and my interest rate was 0.75 or 1%, and you pay it back over 5 years. And I didn't do really dumb stuff with that loan, but I definitely didn't invest it like I should have. And I remember I deployed to Afghanistan and paid it back early. like, come on, man, you can't be doing that. So it could be a real travesty looking back. But I have I try to have different themes in each week of my business, and the theme this week is don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So, Dave, back to when you were a younger Marine, you were still investing in your TSP. That's still good. That's still a cut above just blowing your money on dumb shit. And so
I did that too.
Maybe we don't let perfect be the enemy of good this week.
Yeah, you're way better off investing imperfectly and earning a smaller return than not investing. And nobody's a perfect investor. Nobody maximizes the returns as much as they could. And it's actually a trap of hyper maximizing some fund or some deals, or you can go into the weeds about picking the right stocks for your entire life and not get it right. So hyper efficiency might deter you from, go make more money and earn 6% for a life, which is not, ideal, but it's like, go put a couple million in there is better than trying to optimize 8% on small money.
Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely. And that what Dan Sullivan's book Gap in the Gain is just a great reminder of like not getting stuck in the trap of looking at where you could be when if you look back you're like, well, yeah, but come a long way. Things are still really good. So could be a lot worse.
So how long you been in the Navy?
I've been in the Navy. I just hit 13 years this past month. So just crossing.
And how long you been doing real estate?
I've been doing real estate, I would say hardcore, for a little over 3 years. I bought my first house and kind of like accidentally house hacked. I didn't even know there was a term for it at the time, but had a roommate and thought, oh, this is cool. It helps pay part of my mortgage. I did that for about 5 years and then moved to Tampa. And then when I bought in Tampa, I said, well, let me buy a house that's specific to this rent the room strategy. And at the same time, I had a really bad experience with my Virginia Beach property. And from that experience, I said, well, I definitely need to learn more about this. This went terrible. What did I expect without having a lot of knowledge or education about it? And so it just picked up from there.
Well, why don't you run us through some of the numbers on this current one? Because it's pretty baller.
Yeah, absolutely. Which deal are you talking about?
Oh my gosh, I forget you aren't just one or twosies in now. For ease of me having any idea what we're talking about, how about the one that we were sitting in on that I think you dubbed your house?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a development company in Tampa, and the reason the development company came about was because I buy a new house in Tampa every 2 years for tax reasons. I basically just restart my clock with the capital gains tax exemption. And I was doing some math one day and I realized, well, these builders got this lot for $250 and then they spent $400. So they're all in for $650 plus some debt. So let's call it $700. But then they sell the house for $900. Like, why can't I do that? Oh, I can. And I started a company for that. And so, to get to the numbers, I have a house that we're constructing through the development company in a neighborhood called Palmacia West of the Tampa area. It's in the best school area, really affluent local population in this neighborhood. And so I picked it up as a rental actually for $370. And I'm always big into unfair competitive advantages. Always look for an advantage if you can. I ended up picking this up as a result of poor listing photos. So there were no interior photos because the seller was just kind of a little stubborn, but the house wasn't really messed up. And so I picked it up as a rental, paid $370 for it on a conventional loan. So all in, I only paid about $80 or $85 to get into it. rented out for a year, and then tore it down, got it on a construction to perm loan to finance a new build. Was only out of pocket about another 20. So all in at this point, about 100K into the project. And then we're looking at exit price of 1.4 million. And the total basis is 1 million of everyone's money, the bank's plus mine. And so, we stand to make about a $400,000 ish profit on $100,000 of input within, I don't know, 2.5 years, 2.5 years. So that's a pretty good ROI. Annualized is definitely over 100%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me about the construction company.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a really popular misconception, actually. So it's not a construction company. So as a developer, you really fundamentally have a math problem, and you have to make sure the land plus the prep costs plus the construction equals a higher number than all of those combined. And part of the build cost is finding the right builder for the project. And we use different builders in Tampa depending on the project. If we need to save costs and we're building a single family home, we might use a value builder. They build the equivalent of like a Toyota Corolla here. And then if we're trying to target a more niche market with a higher end finish, then we'll use a higher end builder and pay a little bit more per square foot. So figuring out which builder is the right fit for the project is, that's part of the analysis. Right now we have one project that we're about to exit in Tampa. We have one that's at the end of permitting and about to break ground. That's been delayed. That's been kind of it's a very profitable one on the numbers. We'll probably make over 50% ROI over the 18-month duration of it, but we're building it fully custom, which has been a bit of a headache. And then we have a third one that's in the beginning of permitting right now in an area called Tampa Heights. And then there are actually two that we started getting ready for, but we sold early because it was just too profitable not to sell. If I figure if I can make 100% annualized return on a project, so for example, 50% ROI in 6 months, then I'll sell it. I don't care if it's just the land. I'll sell it early.
Love it.
So that's what we've done. That's what we've done on a couple of projects. Just sold them early before we even had plans. And I joke with my team. I'm like, can we call ourselves developers if we just sell all the land early because we entitled it or whatever? So, but
Yeah. What is that just a product of buying deep, or when did this happen?
Which part? When we started selling things earlier, when we really established the company?
No, I mean when things go up and you can make a 50% return. But you said you've been doing this 3 years. Well, the last 2.5, prices have gone stratospheric. So how much of it is, I'm curious, like, is it buying deep, or is it tailwinds, or are you able to replicate that?
I don't know that we could replicate it. I think it's focusing on certain neighborhoods. So we only really target things in certain zip codes of Tampa. And so what happens there is when there's a deal, and that's kind of why I only target certain zip codes for our development projects. When something comes up, for example, one of the ones we bought and sold was on Pine Street, and it popped up on Fizbo, on Zillow. And I said, that's a good deal. I'm going to call this guy immediately. And I said, hey, what would it take for you to take this today? And he said, I would take $5K less than my price. I gave an offer the same day we got it under contract. If I didn't farm certain areas, I couldn't do that. So I did buy it deep. And then, through my own due diligence in analyzing, I said, we have two strategies here. We could build on it and make money, or we could offer a rezone to somebody and sell it early and make money. So we can actually do both. Let's just list it again as we go through plans. And then it's just different exit strategies. But to clarify, the development company has only existed for a little over a year. That's my most recent thing out of my 4 businesses.
And you're full time in the Navy? David said you're a cook. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a really good cook. I'm really good at cooking, I guess.
No.
Yeah, so I'm still active duty. I'm an acquisitions officer working on research, development, prototyping, new equipment. So I'm still active duty, and I basically have that figured out with different systems in my team to where, I can still fully contribute, but in my other hours, focus on the real estate as well. It's some long weeks though. Sometimes, I mean, putting in a 100-hour week is not unheard of for me.
He figures it out. So you said 4 businesses. What are the other 3?
Yeah, so I have my licensure business. So I'm a realtor in Tampa, which you kind of already spoke about. Our niche there is working with investor buyers, big time, working with 1031 exchange buyers because we've personally done them. So having somebody to consult with who's actually done it is a huge, huge asset. And then we love working with our military and veteran clients and just making sure they get the absolute best service for getting most value out of their VA loan on both the selling and the buying side, honestly. So anyway, licensure, rental business. We do buy and hold long-term rentals in Tampa. That one, we're undergoing a total shift. We had a pretty good residential portfolio, about $6 million of assets here in Tampa. We're liquidating the entire thing over the next year and going to take all the funds and go into commercial. So there, we're going to go into commercial, triple net retail, storage, and multifamily. And then, so that's 2, then the development business, and then my business, Lascara Capital, where we're general partners in a few syndications, basically just doing investor relations and capital placement into 506C deals.
I'd be interested to hear, we didn't dig into it. We kind of skipped past it, but can you run through the numbers on your current house hack? I think that one's pretty killer too.
Yeah, I love this house. I'm sitting in it right now. So that's a reason I'm so dedicated to certain neighborhoods. So I was like, let me look for something that fits this criteria, this amount of bedrooms and bathrooms. And I really wanted a 3-car garage. So I put some feelers out to builders I know. I said, hey, when you got something that fits this criteria, let me know. And a couple weeks later, this was in March of 2021. They said, hey, we got something, but you got to give us an answer quickly. You know, we're going to be marketing it for $850. And I did some math real quick. I was like, that's a good price. And that neighborhood's getting better every single month. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I bought it for $850 on New Year's Eve of when the build was done in December 31st, 2021. So I've lived in it for a year and a half now. Bought it for $850. It appraised for 1.08. So the day I closed, I had almost $250,000 of equity. And that's the neighborhood thing going on. I have 3 roommates. In total, my roommates pay about $4,000. I think it's $3,950. So I'm bringing in $4,000 on my rent revenue, and my PITI is about $4,500. So I pay $500 a month or $550 a month in rent to live in this house, which is also going to give me a capital gains tax exemption when I move away and sell it. So it's a pretty good living nearly for free. It's a pretty good setup.
Well, and you would have been paying, what, $2-3 in rent probably in Tampa. What's your BAH there?
Something mid 2s, I think. I don't even know. Maybe 2,600.
Yeah, so you would have been paying $2,000 to $2,500 probably for rent there, and now you're pocketing $2,000 of that.
Yeah,
sweet.
I'm coming up on. Let me think here. 8 years of house hacking, and I'm ready to live alone. Yeah, I'm getting there.
No wife?
No, I'm single.
It's easy.
Yeah, I could keep going, but I'm like, I'm the results that I wanted to experience. I track my progress each quarter or track it each year, and I'm like, whoa, like I'm hitting the results. Do I still need to be living with roommates as a 35-year-old dude? I don't know.
Well, you could always just go from the single family to the duplex, fourplex model, and then you still have your own place. Or you could have your own, not house hack. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, James, you seem hyper obsessed about being efficient. Is it fun?
It's fun. I have fun. My friends who know me super well, they joke that this saying pertains to me the most of anyone they know. They're like, with James, winning is more fun than fun is fun. I'm like, yeah, it's accurate. Yeah.
And pizza.
Like
Pizza is also
Pizza's
fun.
great.
James
Pizza
is also
and
a
ice
pizza
cream.
guy.
Yeah.
I think I saw you eat nothing but pizza in Tampa, actually.
I don't know if I want to publicly claim that that's true. I don't know if I want to admit that that's true. I do love pizza, though. I do have my pizza spots. That's for sure.
Oh man. All right. So we've got the development and the build to rent or build to sell or build to, or not even make it to building because you sold it for a great profit before you got there. We've got the being an agent. We've got house hacking. We've got capital. We've got all of the things plus, Uncle Sam, DOD. What's next in the strategy?
Yeah,
I mean, you need something else. You're clearly not busy enough.
I'm pretty busy, but it's really the vision of it's really the vision of where are we going with this. So I started to grow a team here. I have two full-time people that are under me. One is a full-time operations manager, and then one is a full-time marketing manager. The next hire will be admin. I've started looking at dollar amounts a whole lot less recently and started looking at the effectiveness of the team and the culture I'm trying to build way, way more. And which is weird for me because I'm a numbers guy. I'm really analytical. But this is kind of the art of it. So big into that right now. But I look a lot into the 3 and 5 year plans with the development business. Where are we trying to go? We're getting what I call practice runs or scrimmages in with these residential developments because we can frankly control a lot more and mitigate the risk at a very fine detail level as they are profitable and produce revenue. And so eventually we'll have the systems, the experience, and also the track record in place to do larger commercial development. And that's where I'd really like to be with my Poseidon 25 Developments company in the next 5 years. Another part of it too is reputation. We have 2 deals right now that are part of partnership opportunities, and getting the reps in with updating your partners when things go well and things don't go well. They seem to be really enjoying the deals, and they love the pro forma that we're forecasting on the projects. One project appraised for 10% over our conservative analyzed target sale price. And so, we're really looking forward to more partnerships as well.
I feel like I know it's your turn.
My turn?
No, I thought he had something to say, but
what do you let's 2 things. Let's talk to an 18-year-old kid that wants to get his personal life in order. That's in the military. That is not hyper focused on building a business, but just wants to get his shit together. And then 2, I want you to sell the war room for me a
Yeah.
little bit.
This 18-year-old thing, I'm gonna get real passionate about it because that shit's important. So I would add, if there was an 18-year-old who's like, "Hey, I didn't have the right tools growing up. My family spent money. We did not live below our means." I would ask them what kind of life they want to live. What kind of life do you want to live in the future? Do you want an unbelievable life? Because you're not going to achieve living an unbelievable life by doing believable things. And so it's going to be hard. It might be the hardest thing that you ever did, but you need to surround yourself, first of all, with the right people. All this partying and bullshit and people who are not aligned with your future higher purpose, cut them out of your life. It's going to be hard. That's okay. So that's the first thing. Second thing, start educating yourself on what you need to do to start earning more and saving more and investing in a strategy that's good for your risk tolerance. Find out your risk tolerance. I think those 2 things are definitely where I'd start. And then I could go into way more detail, but start there.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Join the war room. Find a mentor. Find a freaking mentor. You don't have to join the war room, but it'd be good if you did. But find a mentor in your unit, in your family, friends, whatever. If they're living the kind of life that you want to live, and they're able to give you advice where it's like maybe you can't see yourself doing that right at the exact time, but you're like, when I get that age, I want to be living that kind of life. Find a mentor like that and listen to what they have to say. Offer to do something for them maybe that brings them value so they can pour resources and education into you. That's also what I would say.
Yeah, I love that you added in the part about someone who's living the life or a life that you want to live. I think that's a huge piece that people seem to miss in the idea of mentorship or advice, right? Like everybody has advice. I mean, people have, it's like the old, like if you're going through relationship struggles, you can talk to everybody in your friend group. And if they've been divorced, they're going to tell you one answer. And if they are happily married, they're going to give you a completely different answer. And it's like, well, you got to choose where the advice is coming from that you choose to listen to.
We talk about
when
this.
you're 18 and 20 though, saying like, live. It's very hard advice to give actually. Like live a life where somebody who is doing what you want to do. But when you're 18 or 20, you're like, I just want to. Well, certainly, I can only speak for myself, but I just want to have an infinite amount of money so I can play video games all day and fix up old cars. And that's really, if I found a mentor that did that, my life would be tragic because that's really, well, first off, it's not really possible. Most people who fix up old cars are broke. And I stopped. I got out of that hobby. That was like a temporary thing. So I like the advice, but it is very hard. It's the same thing with David said with relationships, where you're like, just go find somebody, who has a great relationship and learn from them. But I was on a podcast the other day with Cam Cathcart and Brandon Turner, and they're like trying to give me marriage advice, and both of them married the only girl they've ever dated. So I'm like, you guys don't know. You guys have only ever had one chick. You don't know nothing about relationships. You don't know anything about dating. So it's very hard to like you're saying, David, to get advice, well, or even mentorship, or even find a person that's emulatable.
Yeah, you got to be really careful to who you listen to.
It's good advice. It's just very hard.
Yeah, no doubt.
Survivor bias.
We have kind of a saying that I think I said on our podcast, and I'm not in the business of taking golf lessons from a guy who's never swung a club. So if somebody's unqualified to give the advice because they haven't experienced it, I'm not going to take advice from that person. That doesn't make any sense. That's why I got into real estate investing in 2020. 95% of people told me bad idea, don't do it. I said, all right, well, you're not doing it either, so I'm not going to listen.
Yeah. Likewise, having swung the club doesn't necessarily mean I'm taking the advice from you either. You've got to also know how to wield the damn thing, right? So it's like there's all these layers to like finding the right person to, latch onto. And
actually, I would like to add my contrarian viewpoint. Here's how I make decisions. I ask everybody. I take all their advice. I assume that they are all idiots, and then I do the action that is left over from what they said. Nobody said. So everybody said all this stuff. I do the opposite of all of it, and whatever's left over, that's what I do, and that works out pretty good.
Nice, contrarian indeed.
Oh, he's that. He is that. But sometimes, actually a lot of times, Alex has some pretty wild ideas, and I love them. But I like a lot of what you said there, though, James. I think there's a lot of really solid stuff, and I do think the mentorship piece is really, really crucial. I hate the word mentorship at this point in life just because it's been so overbuzzed, but there's not really a better word to fill it in with. So, we all know that it's so important to find somebody who's a good role model. And it's just, man, I think back to when I was that age, and I'm like what to Alex's point, it's like, I had no idea who the hell I was. I don't know what I would have listened to at that point in life.
Yeah, I'm sure Dave and Alex, you as well. I'm sure you guys get asked now to be mentors, and I certainly do in Tampa. And this might be a contrarian view, but I'll share it. I don't mind sharing it publicly. I will test a mentee. If somebody's like, "Hey, I'll do this for you," and I really want you to be my mentor, I'll be like, "All right, show up here at 6 a.m. tomorrow." And if they don't show up, I'll never talk to them again. Because if you're going to ask me for something of value, and I will pour into you if you prove that you're willing to do the work and you'll listen to what, I'm willing to provide. But I'm going to make sure that you're going to do that. And if you're not, I'll find out quickly and I'll just abandon the idea.
Yeah, I think and I've said this before publicly, the single fastest way to ruin your chance of mentorship with anyone you're trying to network with is to ask for advice and then ignore the response, or have somebody like you get a hold of like Doug Nordman or Brandon Turner when they told me like, hey, you should start a blog way back in the day. Had I then not done that, then had I ever gone back and asked them about something again, all they would have remembered is, well, the last time he asked me about something, he didn't follow through. So clearly not worth our time. And not to say that you should follow every bit of advice ever given, but if you ask somebody for advice and they recommend you read a book, read the book.
Yeah.
And then let them know that you read the book. Otherwise, you're not going to foster that relationship.
That's a great point.
Yeah, this is common. I actually ignore this all the time too. Who was it? It was Ash. Anybody know Ash Patel? He was like,
But he
he's
owns a
the
hotel.
best ever. He's a commercial investor.
Guaranteed he owns hotels.
No, you're being
There's
not appropriate.
There's literally a Facebook group named Hotel Motel Patel because every hotel in the world is named Patel.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's Indian, so it doesn't apply. You're being. Anyways,
maybe three of the four people who made an offer on our hotel had that last name. So
yeah, it is a stereotype. I understand. But he said to me, he goes, "Hey, I want you to, I don't know, jump through some hoop or whatever like that." And yeah, it really is important what you said, James, to like really make sure that you're listening from people you want to be like, because he's like, go jump through all these hoops, and then I'll coach you, and I'm like, I don't want your coaching. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna do that. So it really is important because a lot of people do that. They'll make you jump through all these hoops, and it's important because I don't want to spend my time on bad investments. People are an investment, and people have to be a really good investment, and they have to show you that they're going to have a good return. So I don't like spending my time on bad investments either. Neither does David. Nobody does. So it really is important to show up and show people that you're a good investment. So yeah, showing people some hoops is good. And that's why it's also doubly important for the person who's jumping the hoops to make sure that this is the trail that you want to follow.
Yeah, and it's nothing taken personally if they decide it's not for them. I don't think I'm everyone's mentor. Like if somebody's like, I need to really get more disciplined and motivated in life, like you need to already be that. You can choose to be that. I'm not going to help you choose to be that. You need to do that yourself first.
Yeah, I like it. All right, James. So the other day you made a comment on a Facebook post about your ROI in the war room, and I have since screenshot it and stuck it in some of my email follow-ups for the marketing funnel. You're welcome. So about your return on investment being ridiculous. And I'm curious if you wanted to, share a little bit about how you came up with that calculation.
Yeah, I took, and by the way, Dave, this is calculated on I think the current rate if I joined War Room now. So I was an early member, and so the rate might be a little bit different. But if you join the War Room today, that's how I calculated it. And so I took how much more net worth that I've gained since joining, and then divided that by my total dues as if I joined now over the course of that whole time frame. And I think the return was, I think it was 83,000%, something like that. But if you actually took my real dues, it was easily over 100,000%, I believe.
It made me laugh. I saw it pop up and I was like, well, that's going in one of my follow-ups as a testimonial, because that's a pretty wild comment. I like seeing that. It was cool, but
yeah, it's great. I mean, it's like with anything, right? It's like with anything. Your consistency is going to determine your results. And so if you play a sport and you're counting on every single practice to be perfect, or every single practice to be some breakthrough experience, like it's not going to be the way it goes. But with War Room and our squad, we show up every time. Not every Saturday that we meet is some breakthrough call, but to have an outlet with resources, mutual support, ideas for hiring, different things going on in your business. When you think like you're all alone and this is just some weird path you're on and you're in a funk, man, it is invaluable. It's been invaluable for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You guys have been very consistent for a long time.
Who's in your group?
We have a pretty powerhouse group. So we're in the Green Squad. So it's
Oh, you're in Green Squad? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Adams and Adam and Travis?
yeah. They're in my group. Yeah.
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 No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
And-
we're in the same group.
And Marty and Brandon and Tom and Justin, the guy
Yeah.
that is secret and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. David, it's War Room's overpriced. You know that? Everybody knows that. It's underpriced. Especially for Green Squad. I think you should double it for Green Squad specifically.
Yeah.
They're getting too much. Did you guys start a podcast, the Green Squad podcast?
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What is that?
It is all about small business growth, entrepreneurial mindset, real estate focused topics. I think we're on episode 6 or 7 will come out next week. So we just vary up the topic. It's kind of a panel. So anywhere from 3 to 6 of us will talk at a time on each call. And sometimes we crowdsource the topic we'll discuss. And then other times we'll come up with something internally and just talk about it.
I've listened to, I think, 2 of the episodes so far. It's pretty good. I was actually, the first episode I listened to, I listened to because I was kind of incredulous about how you guys were going to try to manage 6 people on one recording virtually. I was like, this is hard enough when they're in the same room, but across a Zoom chat. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh my goodness. Like I don't think they talked over each other once. This was very impressive. And so I was like, man, somebody's directing traffic. And, so yeah, it's actually a pretty good show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We do a little etiquette there. Like if you're like, oh, I got something really important, do a little thing on the video. And then if you come off mute, that's another little etiquette thing.
Yeah.
We have a good editor too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, James.
David and I have no etiquette. We just yell.
Yeah,
that
works.
As we just showed, as we talk over each other there. James, what are we missing? What before we wrap this up, what should we have covered that we have not yet?
I am a big believer in mindset. And for me, and the reason I always bring this up is because to me, real estate doesn't exist without the right mindset. And so, I have different phrases and stuff, different things I subscribe to, but don't be upset with the results that you never got from the work you didn't put in. That's one of my big things. I think these days in our society, a lot of people shy away from hard work. A lot of people shy away from taking risks. And you need to have a little bit of both those things in order to get after your life vision. So I think I would share that with the listeners.
Yeah. Mindset's huge. It's amazing how much I held myself back at the beginning, just not believing what was possible.
Still do. Hot shot.
Yeah. Getting better. Constant improvement. Constant room for improvement.
Yeah, all that stuff, pain, frustration, failure exists only in your mind. That's the only place. We all do it. I do it, but I try to surround myself with resources and tools to get out of it quicker.
For sure. Absolutely. All right, James, where can people get a hold of you?
Cool. The best way is probably my Instagram. So on Instagram, I'm at JPL Invest. Also have my email, which can you throw it in the notes, Dave?
Of course.
Okay. Email will be in the notes. Those are probably the best ways. I don't want to give out my cell number on the podcast, but I'm on my Instagram a lot, really trying to branch out the marketing. If you're interested in getting involved with us from a development perspective, we do a lot of really cool deals in Tampa. So hit us up there. We got a couple little forms you can fill out, and it's really easy to get started to learn about what we're doing in Tampa. And then we're always looking to work with action takers on the client side. We love working with action taker investors as clients in Tampa. So we appreciate that.
Love it. And Alex, I know we've been a little bit since we've done this together, but I do believe we already made it through our traditional questions. Did we miss one of them, or do you want to roll us out?
I don't know either of those two things.
All right. Well, this has been episode, we don't actually keep track of the numbers,
Yeah.
so who am I kidding, with James Lascara. And we don't normally do an outro, but I'm trying to sound cool so that Alex feels like he's inferior. And we're going to sign off right now.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, James.